Holy hell, ladies and gentlemen, the changes are massive. Tempering and masterworking, a new sanctification, defense and health, completely reworked, plus new endgame content, the tower, and leaderboards. There is a lot of good in here, but also quite some bad. We'll begin with the tempering and masterworking. Instead of having to randomly YOLO on items now and hoping that you get your vulnerable damage, critical strike damage, whatever, you can now select which specific affix you want. Done. I want Fireball to cast twice, I will get Fireball to cast twice. The only thing that stays random is the range of the temper. So I want familiar damage, but it's still going to be 82.5 to 105%. Therefore, I might still have to roll 3 times to get what I want at a maximum value. Items can now only have one tempered affix. That's quite interesting because you have to make a meaningful choice now. However, we're getting a 4th affix on the items, so it's going to be intelligence, damage, glass cannon, and attack speed, plus the one deterministic I can choose tempered affix. Lastly, tempering charges can be restored indefinitely. What this means is that your scroll of restoration will now restore always one single temper attempt, and I can use it as many times as I want. So I reach my maximum amount of tempers because I still want it to be 29.8% for fireballs instead of 28.9, and I can just keep restoring. When I have 54 of those, right? I could just spam restore and really work my way to the perfect temper. Then we get Masterworking, and it's completely different. No more 25% bonuses, no more hoping to get the triple crit. No, we're now going in a quality level from 0 to 20, and each step of quality increase gives us more damage, armor, or resistance on the weapon. As we then reach 20, we can give it a capstone bonus by masterworking one final time, and this capstone bonus will turn a random non-greater affix into a greater affix, and that can be re-rolled without resetting the 20 levels of quality, which means we're gonna temper our weapon, get the perfect temper, then we're gonna throw it into the masterwork 20 times for maximum damage, and I could here get my damage or intelligence greater affixed. On my amulet, I could get the glass cannon greater affixed. And again, I can re-roll that last capstone as many times I want. This already removes completely the reset, re-roll that we currently have going on. It's definitely going to remove the time we're spending in this menu of putting an item, going for the defense, hoping that we get the right thing, don't get the right thing, do it again. That's what's pain. It's going to be way shorter inside here. And the masterworking is obviously vastly better this way. However, it's going to give you way less power because now not being able to 25, 25, 25, right? All the ranks to fireballs, all the ranks to core skills. However, this quality up does actually work on unique items too, right? So you can get double greater affix on an item that only has one greater affix, which is quite interesting because often I would like to have the fireball ranks and the chance for fireball projectiles to cast twice, or the projectile fireball speed, or even for the Fists of Fate, which get an insane bonus when they actually get greater affixed, right? Interesting. Now what about Sanctification? It's the final step of your item's journey. You go to the Angel Hadriel, and he will allow you to sanctify an item, and that's it. You cannot modify it afterwards. That sanctification can apply a bonus legendary power, another aspect. It can improve any affix to a greater affix, great. Then it can add a bonus affix on top to the weapon that is a special sanctification affix. It could also replace an affix, and that's actually shit. Because if I have an item with a chance for projectiles to cast twice, or if I have my ranks to evolution, core skill ranks, whatever, the attack speed 3 times masterwork, not anymore. I don't want that to be removed, no matter for what. This means that sanctification is not only good, it could actually be bad. It can also make your item indestructible, and that's bullshit. Why do I want an indestructible item? In pre-torment tiers, you might randomly kill a lesser evil that is in the Helltide or wherever, and then boom, you suddenly get invited to the Heavenly Forged. So that's kind of cool because I could just sanctify an item, it doesn't matter, right? I could just get a super bonus out of it. Later, if you go into the Torment tiers, you earn Heavenly Sigils, and with these you can teleport to the Forge to then sanctify something. It is a nice bonus, but I would honestly remove the last two things, because being able to brick an item at the end of the journey, it's perfectly tempered, it's perfectly masterworked, and then I brick it, I remove one of the affixes I really want. I can't see that, dog, but getting another bonus legendary power could be absolutely crazy meaningful. Now, what about the monster changes? It reads really weird because they're adding more deadly monsters, they're making enemies do more damage, and they're adding 20 new monster affixes. What's happening here is that they're trying to create some kind of super packs that give you a meaningful feeling of challenge as you're cruising through the game. So you're still bashing everything in, and then suddenly you have this bonus pack that has a champion, and the rares are boosted and the affixes are spread. And it's like this wake-up call, this wake-up challenge. A little bit like the old Diablo games when you were fighting like a rare, and it just seemed more meaningful, and supposedly also gives you bonus loot. This is going to be fairly interesting, the champion packs in the pit. I'm not sure how this will play. It will definitely make the game harder or longer because we'll take more time in the beginning to take out these packs. So leveling should certainly be slower because of this. However, later on when you're super strong, it might just simply give you bonus loot and or some bonus challenge feeling as you're completely nuking these super champion packs. Now, what about our defense, health, and renown? Because this is where it gets quite iffy and weird. Our defense overhaul, we're getting toughness. So instead of now maxing out your armor to 1000 and your resistance to 75%, the caps are completely being removed. You can stack as much armor as you want and as much resistance as you want, and it will give you more damage reduction, just less more. So if I have 10,000 armor instead of 5,000, it's not that I have twice the defense, right? It's diminishing returns. However, I can meaningfully increase my damage reduction. And we're getting a new resistance called physical damage resistance. Quite interesting. On top, the armor and resistance penalties per torment tiers have been removed. So we're not getting less. We simply now have to stack more to get more damage reduction. There's also quite a lot of damage reduction removed from the Paragon board, from skills and everything. So we do actually have to stack armor. But by allowing us to stack armor, they also can scale the damage of enemies to create more risk-reward scenarios that either are interesting or tedious. And in order to understand everything better, we're getting a toughness value. It's going to be the same like attack power, which is meaningless. Attack power doesn't really say how strong your character is. However, toughness is going to give you an equivalent of how tough you are. I think as we then play through, we'll figure out for Torment 4, you should have at least 2000 toughness. For Torment 1, 500 toughness is enough. Pretty much just a different number game to play. That being said, in the campfire chat, they mentioned that this is good for the game design because it allows them to scale damage different. Because right now, builds that have low life kinda at some point get one shot, since 1000 armor was the max you could get, 75 resi was the max you could get. Now with infinite scaling, you can play also the more low life builds and not feel like you're being one shot because you could meaningful stack more armor and more resistance and more armor and more resistance and just feel good. This might be a good change. It just reads awful. What about healing? They're bringing back life on kill, life regeneration, life on hit, and they're reducing the amount of healing potions we have. Healing potions now heal 35% of our total health immediately, and if we pick up a healing potion on the ground, it slowly regenerates a third potion every 30 seconds. In addition to the potion pickups on the ground, we slowly regenerate a potion every 30 seconds, which is kind of interesting, especially in boss fights where you're then out of heals and you might actually get this moment, bam, I get one back. That's kind of cool. And Fortify is seeing a complete redesign. Instead of now filling up Fortify and getting damage reduction, you gain Fortify, and then your Fortify empties out and heals you. So you build it up all the way, you're always fortified as you have even a base amount of Fortify, and it slowly replenishes you, which is very intriguing, especially for Barbarian going in, for Necromancer 2, as we then take damage and then replenish, take damage and then replenish, because you can quite easily fortify. However, a lot of the fortify sources are lowered throughout the whole game, and we're talking down from 50 to 4%, from 5% to 1% or 0.5%. So heavily lowered so that we're not overhealing the whole time. There are also renown changes they mentioned, but before on the seasonal topic, beat back lesser evils. The lesser evils have invaded the world. What's happening is that throughout everywhere in the world, random lesser evils will appear. We will have Asmodan as a new world boss, and we can summon Asmodan in the overworld and fight him for insane loot. Then Duriel is now in the Helltide. Instead of the Hell Maiden, we summon Duriel. Does he also drop Duriel loot? Hopefully. And there will be maggots everywhere in the Helltide. Belial is now in the pit, and if you destroy the Isles of Belial, he's actually going to be the pit boss, which is kind of effing cool. I like that. And then Endariel is in the Undercity, and you can randomly fight Endariel. They're everywhere, those lesser evils, and it's quite intriguing. Killing these lesser evils will then give us divine favor for our divine gifts. And divine gifts are the new perk and mastery system. On the right side, we have 4 inner divine gifts and 4 outer ones. The inner ones are purified, and the outer ones are going to get their corruption bonus. They always give you the reward. For example, the Essence of Pain now says, Pangs of Duriel can drop socketables in Helltide. Pangs of Duriel are these little Duriel blips you fight in his boss fight. And doubled while purified. Purified are the inner 4, and I briefly gain maximum barrier after becoming injured. However, if I move this to the outer side, I still get the reward, and the Pangs of Duriel ambush you more often. So if I want to get ambushed a lot, if I want to get these socketables, I put it in the outer tier. I won't then get the barrier, however, I can get more loot. And that's actually the theme of all these divine gifts. They will give us more loot. For example, the Essence of Pain says, Pangs of Duriel's drop socketables, and if we upgrade, we get the higher quality runes and gems to drop. Then the Essence of Squalor says maggots can drop experience globes, and we get more experience globes, while if it's purified in the inner 4, we get more health. So what you're going to do is you're going to use all 8 of these essences, right? That fortify you, that give you movement speed. However, you have to choose which one is purified and which one will be corrupted. Because end of the day, you want all the rewards. You're probably also going to hot swap them, because this says if I vanquish a pit, I get immense amount of gold, and purified doubles that. This means if I then farm the pit, I want this one. If I farm the Helltides, I want the one of pain. If I do a world boss right now, I want to swap my divine gifts around. It's going to be a bit annoying to consistently have to swap them around to really get the maximum loot, but it's going to be an intriguing one to see how much more loots this will get. These powers are really just for more loot. They won't give us anything meaningful for our builds. Sure, 30% more movement speed, or your direct damage has a chance to stun. It's not crazy things, build defining things. It's more like, what do I get more? More salvage materials in the Undercity? Great, I'm gonna run some Undercities now. Then we're getting the Tower and Leaderboards. The Tower is a little bit like the Gauntlet, and it seems a bit weird the way it reads. We unlock the Tower through the Obelisk in Karigar, and from there you can run the Tower on any difficult level already unlocked for the pit. You have 10 minutes from exiting the starting circle. You have 10 minutes to complete a Tower run. This will be throughout multiple floors, which randomize tile designs and monster families. And we earn progress by killing monsters and collecting orbs. Okay? And during the run, 4 pylons will appear that will boost us. And end of the day, as we then blast through this, a boss will spawn that's random, we kill it, and the run ends. And as you can see here, runs are 126, 121, 120, 116, with their respective tiers listed on the side. We can't really say much about the Tower, how it will play, how it will feel, unless we have really tested it. However, it does seem a little bit like the Gauntlet again, just in different, worse maybe. Gotta play this on the PTR, and the PTR is plenty soon. I mean, it's already on the 21st, so I'm really looking forward to that. Now let's get to the Renown and Season rank, because they're reworking the Season journey. Currently, we got the season journey here, right? You do your goals, you get your ashes, you get to the end, and then we get our spark plus all the urns and that kind of stuff. And Renown is the system that gave you more skill points, paragon points, obols, potions, all of that. This changes. We will gain seasonal ranks, and each rank now requires you to complete a capstone dungeon before progressing to the next rank. Similar to previous capstone dungeons, these can be attempted before the recommended level and difficulty. Renown itself is completely removed from the game, and it is now in the season rank system, which means we're not getting the bonus skill points and paragon points as we start the game. We're gonna start with less skill points right from the get-go, and we will gain additional skill points by finishing rank 1, 2, and 3. And the first rank we finish at level 30, or as early as possible, because this says the Torrent Menagerie, the capstone dungeon, is at level 30 in the normal difficulty tier. However, you can do it earlier. So if I'm already level 20 and my build is good, I might just be able to finish it, get the skill points, and level faster. Then the second one is at level 50 expert difficulty, and the third one is actually in Torment 1. So the maximum amount of bonus skill points I only get in Torment 1. That's crazy. Then with rank 3, 4, 5, and 6, we get more paragon points, which means we're getting Torment 1, and we don't instantly have 25 paragon points. No, rank 3 is the Unseen Awakening. Then we have Tempest Oasis and the Sins of the Many. So that's going to be quite intriguing how we actually get through those ranks there, how quick and how much it works. Altars of Lilith and the Tenets of Acrates don't have to be done again. No. You find them and they give you minor rewards and experience if you'd want to, but you don't have to interact with them. No more permanent stats, no more permanent power. This change reads awful. It reads like it's slowing down the game. And actually further down in the patch notes, it also says that they want to slow down the leveling. However, it might give you a more meaningful feeling level journey, as you now look forward to finishing these capstones and then boost yourself forward. No one says that you can't play on hard or expert difficulties before the level 30. You can still start the game on expert, right? Get more XP and everything, and then swap to normal to do the menagerie and blast through it easy. Still, I'm not sure what is really gained by slowing the game down again, even though they're making it more meaningful. The change reads bad, but it might actually play really good. This will probably be the most controversial thing of the patch notes, because some people like capstones, a lot of people hate capstones. Soon we'll play and check. Then we're getting new unique items. For Barbarian, it's a pair of pants with brawling skills, and it's actually interesting because it says casting a damaging brawling skill disables it afterwards. And if all skills in your skill bar are disabled that way, then they get re-enabled. Your brawling skills deal 100% increased damage for each disabled skill. So you're going to play 4 brawling skills, go 1, 2, 3, 4, and your 4th skills is always going to be the one you want to deal the most damage with. I don't know how this will play, but it's intriguing at least. The Druid gets Stepwalker unique boots that give you ranks to Bad Omen. This is important with a change to Bad Omen for having you hit stunned and immobilized enemies with lightning bolts. And now what they do is damaging 100 enemies with storm skills grants a charge. Casting any defensive skill will grant maximum movement speed unhindered, and while charged, enemies you run into are immobilized. If you immobilize enemies, they will instantly get hit by lightning bolts due to Bad Omen, and Bad Omen makes these lightning bolts stronger. So, we know already Season 11 for the Barbarian brawling skills. For the Druid, it's going to be a Lightning Bolt Stormcrone build. Then Rogue is getting Dens of Knife Pans, which give you ranks to Dens of Knives, dodge chance while channeling Dens of Knives, and Dens of Knives drops knives from enemies hit. If you pick them up, you get 20% more damage, and you can stack it up to 3 times. So 20, 20, 20, 20, quite like the movement speed bonus that we're getting currently with Hit and Run in this season. I like it, it's nice, it makes Dens of Knives just be very fun. Then for the Necromancer, we get the best thing in the game in the world. It's Golem Mastery, one-handed weapon. You raise 3 more smaller golems instead of 1, and it gets bonus attack speed and my golems respawn faster. This means we can play the aspect where the golem does damage around himself, and it's 3 golems now doing the damage. We can have golems with bone storms around them. Finally, a Golem Mancer. It might be good, it might be horrible, I don't care, I will play it. For the Sorcerer, it's actually super interesting. For each defensive skill not in your action bar, you deal 40% increased damage and gain its associated enchantment effect. 0 defensive skills being played, bonus enchantment effects, and massive more damage. That could be fun. Then for Spiritborn, it's even more evade Spiritborn. Every 12 to 4 meter you move, invoke a core skill from your primary spirit hall. If you play Eagle, if you dash around, you are suddenly also shooting out your wings on top for more feathers. What the hell? I mean, this is going to be Eagle all the way, Eagle traveling all the way, and then even more evade Spiritborn, as if we not did have enough Spiritborn already evade style. On top of all these changes, there's obviously a huge patch notes. Most of this patch notes is damage reduction changes and also fortified changes. Nothing is really massively being overhauled where you're like, what the fuck, that's crazy. For Spiritborn, the Jaguar though is being nerfed. It's not doing this billions of damage gathered damage anymore. No, it now gives you a damage buff that increases 5 times stacked, and that's it. Whereas now Eagle, instead of scaling vulnerable duration, though scales damage. The same goes for the Centipede. Instead of slow and damage reduction, it's now damage scaling, which is intriguing. They're reworking the Melted Heart of Selig to make it mana shield. It used to just give you maximum resource. What it says now is each point of your primary stat, intelligence, increases your primary resource by 3%, but you have 75% reduced life. Any damage you would take is dealt to your primary resource before your life. If you have not taken damage, you restore everything quick. This is technically mana shield, which is intriguing, but it's your amulet, and that's terrible. The Barbarian sees some damage increases, but mostly it's just fortify decrease, even more fortify decrease. However, Call of the Ancients is now 10 seconds long, that's pretty nice. The Druid, the same treatment, fortify just going wholesale down. Grizzly Rage though, is getting a damage increase instead of damage stacking, but skill ranks into Grizzly Rage give bonus damage instead of reducing cooldown. So Grizzly Rage might be coming out stronger than ever. And the Bad Omen passive now calls a lightning strike when applying Immobilize and Stun, together with the boots, and ranks in the passive increase the damage of the lightning bolts. This just tells us they want us to play a lightning bolt build. For the Necromancer, we see the buff to Druids, and Necromancer's Golem ability targets your minions. This is still not the target ability we want, because if you now want to target your minions, you have to play the Golem. However, you want to sacrifice the Golem for your mages to do maximum damage. So you never want to keep the Golem with the mages. This is like a half-assed way of doing it. We're getting something, yes, but the something we're getting is terrible. The Callan's Edict though is being changed to be better than ever. It gave us 36% bonus, and now it's actually at a 40 and 40 bonus flat. That's pretty damn nice. For the Rogue, Inner Sight is now more damage on top of the crit chance, which is kind of cool. And the biggest change to Sorcerer is to Primordial Binding, because you're losing movement speed and mana generation, and it's now only flat summon damage without stacking anymore. So you're not getting 10 stacks, now it's just 6, 12, 18% summon damage. It's kind of a bit boring because it was fun to actually stack these damages and see how high you could bring it. The very good thing though is that the Fractured Winter Glass, yes, used to give you a chance to have your conjuration spawn random frost orbs, but now Frozen Orb deals 4 to 8% in more damage per active summon. Yep, you can have 10 active summons, right? We can have a lot of active summons. Oh boy. I mean, we'll stack those summons like crazy. Hopefully the doggies will count as summons from the runes, and we might be getting a massive damage increase, and then throw out Frozen Orbs like crazy. And this brings us to the sad part, the economy update. With the changes to Renown, the pace of the early leveling will be slower, and we will get less items. Normal items drop longer, magic items will have more bonus affixes, and rare items will be rarer before level 40, and legendary items will be insanely rare before level 40. After level 40, they finally start dropping and ramp up, but before, you're just gonna be running around with shit. Getting aspects will be harder than ever. We might actually be fully forced to do dungeons to actually get our aspects, because you're not gonna see them anymore just randomly dropping for you. That's not too cool. They're also changing the gold cost of a lot of things. The enchanter now goes up from 325 to 1,000,000 gold for enchanting on an ancestral legendary. Unless we're getting massive more gold drops, I don't understand this change. Like 1,000,000 for just changing an aspect? Are you kidding me? Why would you ever do that? That's so weird. That being said, we're losing a massive gold sink that is the tempering, right? Because now we upgrade an item all the way to the end, and that's it. Then we can still re-roll the greater affix, but we're not wasting our money anymore in consistent resetting for 5,000,000 gold. So maybe that evens out. It still reads bad though, might play good. What I like about the patch is definitely that Masterworking and tempering is now safer. It's now a good way. The Sanctification seems useless as it might just ruin an item. It's like Chaos Val orbing something from PoE and then randomly breaking an item. Maybe it's fun, maybe it's good, we will see. When it comes down to the monster combat involved and the defense and healing changes, this could be great for the game as it just allows us to go meaningful more for the defense. The lesser evils are fun, the divine gifts are trash. I mean, I really don't like the divine gifts just giving us more loot. I prefer powers that have a meaning, powers that gave us new builds. These powers will not give us new builds. They will just give us more loot. So the era of exciting build variety is kind of dropping. And that's not too fun for me personally. We'll see how it pans out. If the tower will be good or not, I have no opinion until played. What do you think about the changes you have seen, ladies and gentlemen? Are you excited? I am definitely going to play the PTR. I need your comments in the description below. You need to tell Blizzard what you think, how your first reaction is, so I can tell my representative and give him like the yelling that you do. October 21st, we will play the PTR like crazy. I'm looking forward to it. Now better watch this video before this voice haunts you in your dreams. Take care.